Hello everyone and welcome back to the Bullet Chess Championship semifinals where Alireza Firouzja just defeated none other than Magnus Carlsen. It was a brutal match and he defeated him with a 3-point margin. I believe the final result was something like, let me just check real quickly, 14.5 to 11.5. Probably everyone already saw it, so that's why I'm mentioning it. And I decided to show you one game where a brilliant tactic was played by Alireza, and even though this is bullet, this is 1+0 bullet. The players play so fast and such incredibly precise moves that they basically, up until the point where the mistake was made, both of them played with 100% accuracy, pretty much. Like every move was a top engine move. Magnus made a little mistake and Alireza punished him without even blinking. He immediately punished him. So it was incredible. I will use this point in time as a pause the video moment where you guys will be able to solve the position. Because it's just incredible that such a thing can happen. 1 minute sounds like a very little time if you're not used to playing bullet games online, but to these monsters, these epic beasts, they did not even use half the time for this game. So let's check it out. Magnus has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. The Ruy Lopez is on the board. Pawn to a6, Morphy's defense, and bishop to a4. And here, knight to f6, we have pawn to d3, and now pawn to d6, the Anderssen variation against Morphy's defense. For those of you who have followed the Paul Morphy saga, you of course remember the legendary Anderssen versus Morphy match where the line was deployed. c3, we have bishop to e7, castles by both players, and now rook to e1. So these are all very well-known moves, of course, both of them know this. Rook to e8 and knight b to d2. And now, the absolute top move here is bishop to f8, and whenever we had this position on the channel, I believe bishop to f8 was played in 100% of games that I've shown on the channel from this position. But Prague, he goes for pawn to h6, and there are only a handful of games that reach this position, so chances are Magnus doesn't know it. But okay, let's see how Magnus continues. Knight to f1, the pretty standard stuff. The knight is coming to g3, but pawn to b5 chases away the bishop, and there is one game where bishop to b3 was played, but Magnus plays bishop to c2, and it is now, as of move 11, that we have a completely new game. So bishop back to f8, you know that this is the square where the bishop belongs. Now it's helping out with the defense of the king side, and also the rook gets full control over the e-file. We have knight to g3, pawn to d5. Alireza strikes in the center, a4, a flank attack, and now pawn to b4. We have pawn to a5, and now bishop to e6. So just standard developing moves. We have bishop to a4. Now, as the knight is undefended, bishop back to d7. Magnus says you cannot grab that much activity with your bishop, bring it back a square. E captures on d5, knight captures, and bishop to d2. We have b captures on c3, b captures, and now bishop to d6. So both players, as usual, putting pieces on optimal squares. Pawn to h3, and now knight back to f6. We have knight to e4, knight captures on e4, rook captures, and now knight back to b8, offering a trade of bishops, but Magnus decides against it. Bishop to b3, puts pressure on this diagonal, and bishop to f5 now attacks the rook, and if you go too far back, then you will lose the d3 pawn. So rook has to be played to e3, and now knight to d7. Alireza just continues development. The knight is coming to f6, and the bishop to c4, helping out with the defense of the d3 pawn. You don't have to worry, as Alireza does not have a b pawn or a d pawn to kick away the bishop from c4. So knight to f6, and now queen to e2, just putting more pressure on that e5 pawn. So Alireza advances it, pawn to e4, and now knight to d4, taking the full control of the square left behind, attacking the bishop on f5, bishop to g6, and now rook to e1, tripling up on the e-file. And here, Alireza could just win the exchange with bishop to f4. The rook has nowhere to go, but he finds a very tricky move, which Magnus falls for. He plays e captures on d3, and now you'd expect, you'd expect a lot of things, but this is bullet. Rook captures on e8 is the way to go. Queen captures, now the queen trade happens, knight captures, and okay, there's requires the pass pawn on d3, but later on you can probably just pick it up with a rook lift and bishop captures on d3. However, after e captures on d3, Magnus fell for it. He played bishop captures on d3, and now Alireza actually immediately played it. The move was played within 2 seconds, but you try to find it. It's a very cool winning move. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Alireza while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on realizing that Magnus's queen is hanging. That's a weird thing to say, as the queen is, so deep in White's camp, but it's true. What are you going to do? And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is a rook captures on e3. This is what wins the queen, incredible as it is, because it doesn't matter how you recapture. Magnus played bishop captures on e3, and now comes bishop captures on d3. Queen captures on d3 and pawn to c5, and that's it. Okay, you don't actually lose the queen, you have to give up the knight, because after you move the knight, bishop to h2 check just wins the undefended queen on d3. So of course Magnus realized that now after c5 was played, he has no more moves, he could just resign here. He played bishop captures on h6, hoping that, okay, maybe Alireza now captures the knight, and then he plays bishop to g5, and he has at least some, motive to continue the game, but Alireza just captured the free bishop, and the position remains. I mean, the knight still cannot move. If you move the knight, bishop to h2 check still wins the queen. So Magnus would be down 2 pieces if he continued the game. And yeah, like I said, Magnus spent some 22 seconds for this game. Alireza spent 20 seconds with finding the winning move within the 2 seconds. So that's how strong these guys are. They didn't even spend half the time of the 1 minute that they have. Magnus made one mistake. Alireza took advantage of it, and he just completely crushed Magnus. And later on, okay, before the final 3 games, the result was equal, but then Alireza won 3 final games that they played, and he took the match. Magnus now goes into the loser section, but he can still bounce back and win the entire thing if he starts playing well. And Hikaru is now facing Daniil Naroditsky, which will also be an epic match, and Alireza will face whoever wins of the 2 of them in the final. So yeah, Magnus said in an interview after the game that, okay, he had some problems. He has, like, I don't know if his hand is broken or bruised, but he has some problems with his hand that he uses to play. So, and he also had a bad mouse. His internet connection was also bad. So he had a lot of things working against him, but he didn't, use that as an excuse. He just, mentioned that as they did ask him, what was happening. But he said that Alireza was playing incredibly well. And Magnus also says that he, in this control 1+0, that he feels like an underdog against the top 2 guys. He didn't say who the top 2 guys were. Probably he was talking to Alireza and, well, either Hikaru or Naroditsky. Now you guys can decide on that. But yeah, as you can see, Alireza also said that for preparation for this match against Magnus, he just checked a few openings half an hour before the games, and he just, crushed Magnus Carlsen. So what do you guys say? The chosen one or not? So yeah, once again, really hope you enjoyed it. This is one of the games that I thought was fun because of this winning tactic, how Alireza just exploded it in 2 seconds. Hope you enjoyed that. I would like to thank James Eugene Cashman, Rod Hill, Gage Wedland, Gary Chomuk, and Usta Parak for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world, such as this wonderful Bullet Chess Championship. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.